First word today is melt. To melt means to change from a solid to a liquid. So usually when we're talking about melt, we are talking about something that's cold and it becomes warm, so it turns into, like in this case, water. You could also melt pretty much anything if you heat it up enough, but usually we're talking about like ice melts into water. So which of these things melts the easiest? A rock, a piece of paper, ice, or steel? So which one is the easiest? Next, fog. Fog is a cloud that is close to the ground, so the air is moist. So it's when you have a cloud that's normally up in the air, but it comes down, and when you go through it, like your fingers get wet, you get, especially if you have glasses, you see all the water on your eyes or on your glasses, and it makes everything hard to see also because you can't really see through it. So why is it hard to drive in the fog? Because you can see further, because you can see light, because you can't see far, or because it's pitch black. Inference. An inference is a guess based on what you know and what you read or what you learned. So this is one of the hardest skills with reading, but it's also one of the most important because it's where you connect dots, and it's really like when you're writing a paper about something you read, this is where you're going to get the meat of your information from, because it's what you are getting from the text. What connections can you make? So in this case, we see this little leaf. So it's almost like foreshadowing where you try and figure out what's going on. But we see this little leaf coming off of her staff, and we know that leaves like this come out of trees during spring. So that's something that we already know. Now, from this video, we can tell that she has something special going on. So we know that she has something special, and we can see that this leaf is coming out of her stick, which it wouldn't normally do, right? Because it's not connected to anything. It's not like it's a tree. So we know that this is probably magical because we know that leaves need water to grow, and they can't just grow off of like this dead stick. And we know that she has something special going on. So we can infer that this stick, at least this staff, is magical. Okay, when should you make an inference? Anytime you read, after you read, when you're asleep, or never. Frost. Frost is a thin layer of ice caused by fog freezing. So when the fog comes down to the ground and gets on stuff, like I said, it makes things a little bit wet. You get water all over the stuff. Well, if the temperature drops, all of that water is going to turn into ice, and that thin layer of ice that ends up on everything is called frost. So when would you see the most frost? In the summer, in the fall, in the winter, or in the spring? The most frost. Okay, creatures. So creatures can mean a few different things. Today we're going to look at the definition of an unknown animal, right? We see these big things come down. Their legs look like trees, and they come down and bow to her, and they are kind of our main, like, what is going on part of the video. So we're just going to call them creatures because we don't really know what they are, right? They're not really sheep. They're not really like spiders, although they kind of have spider eyes. They kind of have these moth things going on. So they're unknown animals. So we're just going to call them creatures. So which of these things is a creature? A dog, a sixth grader, a narwhal, or a werewolf? Okay, staff. A staff is a walking stick. So this right here, but it's sometimes used for magic. Okay, so she uses it to walk, but she doesn't really need it, right? Because she's like a young girl, so she doesn't need help walking. So she's using it for a magical purpose. Who would likely use a staff? A dog, a baby, a tree, or a wizard? Danger. Danger means at risk of harm. So she is in danger, and so is the dog in this situation because everybody's kind of chasing after this little like magical stick thingy. And they're in danger of falling off the cliff, and also her and the dog are in danger of getting stepped on by these big tree legs. So they're at risk of getting hurt. When would you be in the least danger? At home in bed, on the edge of a cliff, near a volcano, or in a hurricane? The least danger. Close call. So a close call is when a situation is almost really bad, right? This was a close call. She was almost stepped on, and if she gets stepped on, then she probably would have died or gotten seriously hurt, but she got the little stick and put it inside her staff just in time, so it wasn't a bad situation. Instead, it was a close call. Which image shows a close call? So this one, this one, this one, or this one. Spring. Spring is the season after winter when things begin growing. So in this video, we can see that spring happens only after she kind of herds away all of these frost creatures, right? So these creatures create fog and frost and sort of winter with them. So when she makes them go away with her staff, then it becomes spring. So all these different flowers and plants start growing. Which holiday is during spring? New Year's Eve, Easter, 4th of July, or Christmas? Okay, and finally, the last word is origin myth. So this is what the genre of this video was. It's a story that explains how or why something happens in nature. So a myth is just a story that gets passed down from like one generation to the next. So like your grandfather would have told your mom and your mom would have told you, that kind of thing. And it usually explains how or why things happen, but an origin myth is like specifically how something started to happen. So in this myth, it's explaining to us how the seasons change, right? How this valley gets spring. It's this girl kind of shoos away the frost creatures and then spring happens. So a lot of time myths are usually based in reality. They start with something real, but because they get told over and over and over and over and over and over and over, things change each time they get told. So it becomes kind of this more fantastical story. What does an origin myth tell? Who someone is, why something happens, where we go when we die, or what's in the middle of the earth. Okay, and that is it.